Ah, The Crow. The first adaptation of James O'Barr's comic book has a legacy that will live on due to the tragic passing of star Brandon Lee, and many consider it something of a classic. People still dress up as the character now, and when we think of vengeful spirits, we think of the Crow first. But a modern take on the Crow has been in the works for almost 2 decades. Seriously. My first posts as a film critic were about The Crow in 2008. With multiple filmmakers and actors, Mark Wahlberg, Bradley Cooper, Jason Momoa, just to name a few, involved until it was finally settled on director Rupert Sanders and star Bill Skarsgård. Fans were initially intrigued by Skarsgård, known for creepy turns in It and John Wick, but turned on the film once they got a glimpse of his emo-style look, and he looked pretty terrible. Suffice to say, The Crow is meeting a lot of headwinds. The franchise has been piss poor for ages, though. None of the prior sequels have been worth a damn, so this one comes in with a very low bar to scale. And frankly, The Crow is much better than those, while still having serious problems in direction, pace, and characterization. Fans of Eric Draven won't see the version of the character they're kind of familiar with until very late into the story. And even then, it comes with a severe turn in tone that is jarring, to say the least. Skarsgård plays Eric, whose troubled childhood has led him to a rehab facility where he meets Shelly, played by singer FKA Twigs, another tortured young soul. And I mean that in quite the literal sense. The two fall in love, 2 broken people finding one another and navigating a shitty world together. Skarsgård and Twigs have surprising chemistry, and she in particular is surprisingly good as Shelly, who strengthens Eric while being quite vulnerable herself. Much of the film is about Eric and Shelly's love for one another, which is nice, but also drags along at such a glacial pace that casual viewers will get bored. It's deep into the movie when the inevitable occurs. Eric and Shelly are both murdered by twisted, dark forces, but only Eric returns to seek revenge for what happened. The story differs greatly from the '94 film and O'Barr's comic. Shelly's soul has been damned due to a Faustian bargain struck by her mother with the immortal Vincent Roeg, played by the always great Danny Huston, who sends their souls to hell. Those looking for the sexy, avenging hero version of The Crow might be disappointed, though. Skarsgård's look is grungy and sinewy, like Machine Gun Kelly if he had just done a stint in Oz. His transformation comes with a learning curve, and Eric spends a lot of the film getting brutalized, only to heal from his lethal wounds, well, most of the time. One thing that can't be said is that this take on The Crow is a carbon copy of what came before. The look is different, the style is different, and if it wasn't for the basic plot beats, like Eric literally following a crow around, you'd be forgiven for thinking this was a new property. Coincidentally, Skarsgård's brother Alexander was up for the lead role at one point, and so was Huston's nephew Jack. So this cast could have looked very different with stronger familial ties. The script by King Richard writer Zach Baylin and William Schneider has its moments, but is shockingly bad much of the time. Eric's vengeful journey isn't the least bit compelling, with no mystery and no twist to speak of. Other than Huston's Roeg, the villains are bland and forgettable, and characters that were introduced just sort of vanish like they were cut from a film that has been chopped up and pieced together repeatedly, which it probably was, to be honest. But the biggest issue is the plotting pace. While faithful to the original comic in that way, the film moves too slowly for a mainstream summertime feature that most see as a dark superhero story. If you're not 100% invested in Eric and Shelly, this is going to be a painfully dull experience to sit through. Sanders, who is best known for directing Snow White and the Huntsman and the live-action Ghost in the Shell movie, justifies the R rating with buckets of bad CGI blood and gruesome gore. There's a ghastly sequence set at an opera house that would prove divisive, but for me, it was a complete miss. By far the biggest action set piece of the film, it features a version of the Crow that is closer to a zombie from The Walking Dead, and not like the protagonist we want to see get retribution for his dead lover. Maybe that's the point, and if so, it was a poor decision to go in such a route. A shame too, because Skarsgård nails the physicality of the action easily. He took on this role straight from shooting the hyper-violent Boy Kills world, and it shows. Skarsgård is lean, mean, brooding, and badass. The Crow exceeds expectations, but this goth angel of death never quite soars. The Crow is in theaters now, and it gets a 2.5 out of 5. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.